Hi FlossTube, my name's Dana and my channel name is Gemstone Stitches. Thanks so much for tuning in today and checking out what I have to show you. It's been a little while since my last update. I had thought I was going to do monthly updates at the beginning of the year, but it's proven that I shouldn't say when my updates are going to be, because honestly I have no idea when I'm going to do a FlossTube video. I kind of just spur of the moment think, oh, right now's a good time and I have a lot to show, so I'm going to run and gather all my stuff together and do a FlossTube. So that's kind of what I've done today. I think both the kids are napping. I'm pretty sure they are. I could have an interruption, I'm not sure. But that's all right. So I have pretty much 2 months of work to show you. I am still sticking with the rotation. Just to give you a little refresher, I have a rotation where the first week of the month I work on my candy cane Santa stocking. The second week I work on Heaven and Earth Design Peacock Days. Third week of the month is Spirit of Veerland by Long Dog Sampler. And then the remainder of the month I usually work on my Year of Flowers. I do the block for that month. And then I do whatever I want until the next month rolls around. And then on Sundays, I try to always work on my Sweet Dreams Santa stocking. So here is the progress. First is a candy cane Santa stocking. This is what it looks like finished. And then I'll insert a picture of what it looked like last video. And then this is what it looks like now. I was able to get quite a bit of progress on it. As you can see, I almost finished all the cross stitching except for this part right here. So I'm gonna finish that up and then I will go through and back stitch all of the stocking, and then at the end I'm gonna come in and do the name on top, which the name is gonna be Trevor because it's my husband's stocking. And I want to see if I have the chart up here. Yeah, so I need to chart his name up at the top. They have a little line here, so you're provided the alphabet, so I need to go in and do that for his name. So here's the alphabet. They give you uppercase and lowercase letters, so that's another thing I need to decide if I want to do all uppercase or do the T uppercase and the rest lowercase. So that's kind of fun to get around to that part of it. I'll be picking this up pretty soon since it's almost May 1st. Okay. Oh yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to see how many backstitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 backstitch colors. There's 2 types of French knots in there, which I didn't know about. And then there's also those sequins that I put on that look like snowflakes to do as well. If you look here, all these little dots are sequins. Getting close. We'll see how long the back stitching will take me. The next project that I work on in the second week of the month is my Heaven and Earth Designs Peacock Days by Josephine Wall. And that's what it looks like finished. I'm still up here on the top. And then I'll put in a picture of what it looked like the last video. And here it is now. I was able to finish the 4th page and then get started on the 5th page. So basically what I did from the 4th page on is do cross country by color in the page. I finished the color cross country method just throughout the page. And then I did go ahead and park my threads into the next page. So I've worked in all the parked threads that were up here. And I still have all of these guys to get through when I pull it out again. I was hoping that, I don't know if you can tell, I was hoping that the parking, or I'm sorry, cross country throughout the page would help get rid of the ridges and ripples that I was getting because I wasn't working column by column. But unfortunately, there are still ridges in it. And certain lights, I'm sorry, I have a hair on my face and it's itching me. In certain lights, it looks worse than others. So I was able to get a picture of it when it was looking pretty bad. Usually it's at night when there's little shadows and stuff on it. So I don't know where this hair is on my face. I posted the picture that showed the problem I was having on the Heaven and Earth Design Facebook page to see if anybody had some advice for me. And of course, tension is always an issue that I have, and I'm still trying to work on it. And I'm being really careful about it on this page, on the 5th page. And then a couple people said when you're running, if you're ending a thread, if you're running your needle behind other stitches to end your thread, it's pulling on those stitches you're running the needle behind, which is pulling the fabric. So what I decided to do, and somebody suggested, was rather than parking my threads, I am just, when I am finished with a color or a thread is ending, I just go over here, wherever it is. If it's like right here, I'll come over to here. If it was up here, I just bring the thread over and pull it through the front of the fabric, and then that means it has trailing threads back here, and those trailing threads are going to get stitched over, and that's how it will get anchored down. It will get secured that way. The other thing that I'm doing, and this might be a little taboo to some people, but rather than whenever I start threads, rather than running the needle behind to start a thread, I am just tying a little knot at the end of the thread and starting it that way. And I've seen a couple people on Facebook say that's how they do their heaven and earth designs, and they've actually finished a heaven and earth design and it hasn't caused them any problems. The knot is so little, it's not going to create a bump on the front of the fabric. And I'm not concerned of it because really the back is just a mess. I'll show you my back. The backs of these are just a huge mess, and if you run your hand along them, you feel issues here and there. But when you put both hands around the fabric, it's really not that much. And it's not going to create a bump once, I don't think. Nothing back there feels like it's going to create a bump on the finished piece. So I'm just tying a knot and anchoring the thread that way, and this whole method has been really fun because I never have to flip the frame around. If I'm tying a knot, then I don't have to flip this around, and if I'm finishing the thread by pulling it up to the front, I don't have to flip around. So I kind of like it. So we're gonna see how this goes. The rippling and the issues really don't end up turning up until you get to the very end of your colors, because that's when everything starts to really get tighter and all the stitches kind of get closer together because they're running out of space. I really hope that helps. I think there's one other method I could try, which is, I think, a method by Blitz Stitch. Brian, I think, at Blitz Stitch, he does diagonal stitching. So if I get that problem again, what I'm going to do is, the last page is after this 5th page. The 6th page is a partial page and it's the last page. So I'll take the corner over here and then work my way diagonally over and see if that helps. But honestly, not that I've never tried that method. It just looks complicated, but he does have videos on how he does it. Plus, I think in his last video he mentioned that there's other people who have put up videos to help you understand how it works, and I'm sure I could figure it out. It's just, I know how to do this pretty easy, so I don't want to spend the time to learn anything else right now. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. I did end up getting an app. When I started the 5th page, I got the Easy PDF app, and oh my gosh, it has helped so much to have that. You're able to highlight the symbol you're working on, finds them all for you, and then you just go through and you stitch them. And then you can highlight them in a different color when you're done. If you're parking anything, you can use a whole different color to highlight. Well, actually, what I do is I underline it, because the flaw about Easy PDF is that if you want to save what you're doing, it's called flatten. If you want to do that and save all the highlighting and things you did, you can't change it once you go back in. It's like permanent that way. So rather than highlighting a whole symbol in red or something for my park thread, I just underline it in red. That way I can still use whatever color I'm using to highlight the finished stitches, and it's not going to get too complicated. The other thing that I did during the last couple months is I got an aught light because I was having so much trouble particularly in the light threads on the light fabric. Once, you know, well, once a lot of it was filled in, I was having so much trouble seeing where the stitches were that needed to be stitched, where the blank areas were that needed to be stitched. And the lamp that's usually by my couch just wasn't cutting it. So what I was doing was turning the flashlight option on my phone and putting my phone at an angle, and I was able to see where the blank spots were. So I tried to use an actual flashlight, and that didn't work because I don't know why, it was just too bright. It was a little blinding. So I think the flashlight option on your phone, on the iPhone, is kind of like an aught light. We went out one day and I said, let's just stop quick at Joann's because I want to get an aught light for the side table. And lucky for me, they were 40% off that day. So I got a deal, and it works really, really well. And it you just touch it. You don't even have to turn it on. You just tap it, and it has 3 different light settings. So I had a lot to share about my Heaven and Earth design, as that's a true work in progress, in that I keep changing my methods and trying to do better and find the easiest way to accomplish and tackle this confetti heavy big BAP, big A project. Okay. Next is Spirit of Veerland by Long Dog Samplers. This is what it looks like finished. And I'll insert a picture of where it was last time. And here is where I am now. Pardon the wrinkliness. It's been on the Q-snap, and I took it off to be able to show you the whole thing. So in the month of March, I finished the first page, and then I went all the way over to here. I did that much of the second page also because I really wanted to finish that big flower pot motif. And so in the second week of April, I did all the alphabet, and then all the alphabet on that page because there's still more to do over here. And then I started the top of that motif. But it's really fun. Here, let me have to find a good way to show this project. I don't know what I'm going to do when it's massive. So there's 2 big flower pots there. There's a little deer. I started the top of another massive motif. There's a little doggy. And, you know, a heart. There's all sorts of little things, little diamond type things. I did mess up. Between one of these letters. It might be between the L and the M. I think I left one space too much. Oh no, it wasn't in these big letters, it was up here. I think, yeah, between the X and the Y, I left one space too much. So once I keep moving over, I'm going to have to space something over here a little closer together to make up for that, because by the time I noticed, I wasn't going to frog, as this is such a busy piece. By the time it's finished, there's no way anyone's going to be able to tell. I mean, they might be able to if they really looked at it, but I'd be surprised if anybody ever looked at my cross stitch that closely. Oh. We'll see how far I can get next rotation, if I'll be able to finish the second page or just do part of it. Then I have 2 blocks to show you in for my drawn thread Year of Flowers. This is what it looks like finished. So I did March and April. And I did decide to go ahead and do 4 across instead of just 3. So I have 4 different blocks done. January, February, March, April. Love the colors. The pretty bright flower colors are nice. Now this is carnation, violet. That looks like a daffodil to me, but let me see. I think they call it something else in here. Let's see what it says. What page do they tell you the flower names on? Sorry. Oh, here it is. So yeah, carnation, violet, they call it a jonquil, which I think is just a daffodil. At least that's exactly what it looks like to me. And then April is a sweet pea, pink sweet pea. So May, it looks like we have a very light pink flower. And it's a lily of the valley. On Sundays, I work on Sweet Dreams Santa stocking. This is what it looks like finished. And this is what it looked like last time you saw it. And here it is now. So right here is the page break from the top of the stocking to the bottom. So I've done a little bit down here below. So I am kind of deciding to do that all the way across. I'm working on most of the motif, or most of the design up here. There's some presents that need to go in. And then once I get those presents done, I'm gonna just work my way over, do Santa's hat, and come over here and do the Christmas tree. I just wanna get all the way across done from side to side. And then from there I'll have to think about if I want to go down or up. But I'm kind of wanting to leave the top for last, because I think a lot of it is just half stitching. At least, see this light color right here is just a half stitch, and I had some thread left over, and I saw that there's some symbol up here for that, so I did that. So I think a lot of, I don't know, I hope a lot of this is half stitched up here. And then I think down here will probably be half stitched the floor. I need to work on these presents right here, and then do Santa's the red part of his hat, and then start working on the Christmas tree. And I did work on this actually yesterday. Yesterday was a Saturday. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I did work on this. And the reason I decided to do that is because I've missed a few Sundays. So I figure I can make up for it. Make up for those Sundays that I didn't get around to stitching. That way, by the end of the year, hopefully I've truly worked on this project 52 days out of the year to see how far I can get along. I really enjoy this. I think I really like working on pictures of something. More than maybe like ink circles where it's just a flowy design, or even say this. I kind of like having a picture and that all your stitches are going to turn into this beautiful picture. I prefer that type of stitching as opposed to the other types you could do. What else do I have to tell you? Okay, I have a finish. Well, it's almost a finish. I did this Mill Hill Christmas jewel. It's called a Golden Tannenbaum. I'm not quite done. I need to do the little star. I haven't put that on there yet. So here it is. There's lots of beads. There's red, gold, and green beads in the tree, and there's a gold beads all the way around, and then all the red rows are beads, and there's little tiny green ones in there as well. So that'll be an ornament that I'm gonna give away. I always have a Mill Hill in the glove compartment of my car, just in case we're on a long trip. I can pull it out. Or what I'm finding that happens to me sometimes is that both my kids will fall asleep in the back seat, and I'll get home, and rather than trying to transfer them into their beds for a nap or wake them up basically and then they don't get enough of a nap, I figure I'll just let them sleep in the car, and then I can, you know, either just browse my phone or work on the cross stitch if I want to. And I ended up getting a ton of time on it earlier in the week because I went to my stepmother-in-law's house. Well, we had a little get-together where we did a play group, and she came for that with the kids. And then we went back to her house. My son just desperately wanted to watch a movie. So I said, well, his grandma said, yeah, and I can take care of Tinsley, and you can just do whatever you feel like while we watch a movie. So I said, okay. Well, immediately thought, well, I do have a cross stitch with me, so I could do that. So that's why I got so much done on it. And then I was pretty well finished, so I just pulled it out and continued to work on it one of the days. But I put it away thinking I was done and realized, no, there's a star that's supposed to go on the top of the tree. So I'll put that on there at some point. Mill hills are fun. They're so quick and easy, particularly these little ornaments. I did notice that Stephanie, Miss Oh So Crafty, her channel name is Miss Oh So Crafty, so is spelled S-E-W. I just now started tuning into her videos. She's doing a bunch of mill hills and kind of creating a Christmas village and putting them all on one piece of fabric, just like block by, or they're kind of like blocks. And there's a church and a theater and a general store. Kind of just makes a town. And I love that idea. I love mill hills and I love that idea. So, ooh, I think my daughter started crying. I don't know, my husband's here. I don't know if I'll go get her. We'll see. I thought about doing that, but I don't want to be a copycat either. So it's not something I'm definitely going to do or definitely want to do. It's still just something I'm thinking about. So if I really one day want to do that, I'll message her and ask her permission to copy her. So that's about it. I'm at the end of the month. Oh, shoot, I forgot. I FFO'd my spring garden. This is what it looks like. I really like how it turned out with the nice light green and then the frame to kind of match the fabric. I think it makes the stitching pop for sure. And the spring garden needed to be able to pop a little bit because the colors are quite muted, particularly on certain flowers and trees on here. I really like it. So the next one I have to frame, and I haven't done yet, I haven't even laced it, is Summer Garden. And I'm quite sure I'm gonna get like a medium to dark brown wood frame for this one. And do probably a blue matte. There's some nice blues in the birds. And I think that's what, salvia. So I can try to pull out a blue. The roof is a darker blue. I think that will look really cute for summer. Now, I think in my last video I mentioned there's a frame shop in town, and I went there with my spring garden, and I had it already laced and finished. It just needs to be popped into a frame. And it says 50% off all your orders and everything. And I went there probably 30 minutes before I needed to pick up my son from preschool, only to have the door closed, said, sorry, close right now, be back at noon or something. And it was past noon when I was there. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I can wait, you know, at the most 10 more minutes for this person to show up. But by then I'll just have run out of time. And literally the moment I was about to pull out, he walks up, of course. So we looked around, and you know, I was just getting really into it and getting in the thick of it. We had picked out a nice frame, and we were going through all the matte colors, and I said, you know what, I really gotta go, because if I don't, I'm gonna be late picking up my son, and I can't do that. So I gave him my phone number, and he was gonna call me with a quote, and I just left my project there. So he called me, and this little project, I mean, I don't consider it that large. It's wide, but it's not that big. You know, it could be all the way down to here, you know, and be really big. It was $199 quote. $199. I said, oh no, I'm sorry. That's way out of my price range. I should have let you know that I'm only willing to spend like $40 at most. Because seriously, if I do it all myself and order a frame online, that's how much I could do it for, or even maybe a little less. So he said, okay, well, you know what, let me pick out some options and, you know, drop back by. So I did, and he still was like quoting me $104 or something, and that's with the discount. And I said, I'm so sorry that I used your time, but I really think I'm gonna just go ahead and try my hand at finding something myself, because that's just really out of my price range right now. I felt a little bad, but at the same time I didn't, because I had a project done that was, you know, over 12 inches high and about that wide as baby blue jays. I've shown it in previous videos. And I brought that to a frame shop, and I hadn't laced it. They did everything for me, and it was like $150 to get everything professionally done. And I think that was just a little bit, maybe it was the same size if you take in consideration that that's quite a bit wider, but I had done the lacing and stuff by myself. So I would think that that's a big part of the price tag, because that's time consuming. So I'm probably going to just stick to framing it by myself, because I can do it a lot cheaper that way. So that's my story on that. Moving forward, today is a Sunday, so if I get any time to do stitching, I'll continue to work on this. And then the remainder of the month of April, I'm going to work on Candy Cane Santa and just keep working on that the beginning of May. May, I'm not doing any Maynia plans. The beginning of May is just a busy month in our family. Our daughter, she's turning 1 year old on May 4th, so she has less than a week before she turns 1. So that went by fast. Of course, it always does. That's what everyone tells you. So we're gonna have her little birthday party next Saturday, and then the following weekend, my husband and I are celebrating our 7-year wedding anniversary. We're gonna, our son's gonna stay at my stepmother-in-law's, and our daughter's gonna stay at my mother-in-law's, and we're gonna go to Newport, Rhode Island for a little, I think we're gonna stop one night in Boston, and then we're gonna go to Newport, Rhode Island. And that, I just found that online as one of the best places to go, in one of the top places to visit in the Northeast. And it perked my interest a lot because they have a ton of old mansions that you can tour, which is one of my very favorite things to do. So yeah, we're just gonna head out there for a few days and check out some houses and just spend some quality time together without kids, which we haven't done in a really long time. In fact, I'm trying to think if we've even ever had a time away together without kids since my son's been born, and he's gonna be 4 in a few months. So yeah, it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'll bring some cross stitching in case I have some downtime. I do need to see if there's any cross stitch stores around that we can add into our road trip, or if there's any near where we're staying in Rhode Island. If you guys know of any, let me know. We're traveling from Vermont, Essex, Burlington type Vermont to Newport, Rhode Island. So if you know of any cross-stitch stores on our way, let me know so I could check it out. I'd love to get a little kit or something to bring home to remember the trip by. Other than that, gosh, I don't know. Oh, I got a job. Yeah, I think in my last video or the video before, I was mentioning how I started applying, and yeah, I was able to get a job. It's actually where my husband works. It's a federal position, so that's kind of cool. And we're not doing the same thing. There's 2 offices in Vermont. One's 45 minutes away and one is only 10 minutes from our house. And thankfully, I got the one, they gave me the opening that was in Essex, which is by our house. So that's awesome. But there's 2 different offices right next to each other, so I'm not sure if my husband and I are going to be in the same office or not. But we'll be doing different things. But yeah, it was quite the process to get that job, because you have to apply and, you know, upload all these documents to your account. And then, like, each job you apply for has some sort of questionnaire that you have to do, and it can be, like, easy. You know, they write out a sentence and you say you strongly agree or strongly disagree or anywhere in the middle, and there's like 150 of those questions, and you just have to keep answering that. It gets a little tiring, but it's hard to know what they're looking for, so you just have to answer them. There's one that was, or it's an assessment, I guess. Maybe some of them are assessments, some of them are questionnaires, I'm not sure. But I had to do one that was like 3 or 4 hours long, and it had these long paragraph type questions, and they time you 5 minutes, and they're the most confusing questions. They're the kind of questions where they say, Aaron can work Monday through Friday, and he has to be off on the weekends. Rob can work Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. He'd talk about all these people, and then when they can work, and then there's gaps in it, though. They don't just like give you all the information you need to easily figure out the question. There's like gaps in it. And then at the end, they're like, so who would be likely to be working on Tuesday? And it's just a ton of questions like that. And yeah, by the end of those, you have a migraine. Not really. You just want to go to bed. You're just mentally exhausted after something like that. So then after I went through all that, they contacted me for one of the jobs and said, we'd like you to take a timed essay, where they emailed me at 10 a.m. on a Monday and said, okay, we're going to give you the topic of the essay. You have 1 hour to write it and send it back in. So I did that. I brushed off my skills of writing skills and refreshed my memory of like what the best things you need to do are to write an essay. So I did that, and then about 2 weeks later they contacted me and said they'd like to have me in for an interview. I was interviewed by 3 people. They asked me 4 questions. They had no smiles on their faces. They were just blank. They don't let you know if you're doing a good job or that they're happy to see you there or anything. It's just like in, out. I mean, I don't know if the interview lasted even 10 minutes. So I felt confident, and there was one question I was a little caught off guard by and could have answered a little better once I had more time to think about it. But the other 3 I felt really confident in. But at the same time, they made me feel kind of unconfident because they didn't give me any type of reassurance. But when they gave me the job, I was like, yeah, I knew I nailed that interview. Yeah, so yeah, I just found that out a few days ago, and I don't even know when I start. And we have to figure out childcare now. But thankfully we have family around, so if we have a hard time with that, I'm sure they'll be happy. They're all retired, so I'm sure they'd be happy to help us take care of the kiddos. So yeah, it's gonna affect my stitching time, I'm sure. But that's okay. I'll still find some time to stitch. I know I will. Alright, I better get going because I am just going on and this video is getting long. Thanks again for tuning in, especially if you made it to the end. And I look forward to talking to you guys next time. Happy stitching!